Okay, we're live. Oh my God. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this conversation today with Anthony Mattis. And thank you, Anthony, for saying yes to this interview.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So I heard the news that you're coming to Budapest, and it got me excited because I really do love the SOP classes. And also I love that you guys are coming to Hungary. What do you think? Why is that?
That's just the place that they chose, and it's anytime, they choose classes and access, they always ask where is going to contribute the most. Not just also for the people, but also for the land and for the earth and even beyond. So Budapest is and like, that's where you get to go for the very first opening of the symphony class. So I'm like, yay.
Yeah, it was super exciting. And we have so many people now coming to Hungary and teaching these amazing classes. And I really do have some stuff with the body thing I'm going to share with you. And that's why I'm even more excited to have this conversation today. So
Okay.
we're going, so the topic for today is your body is talking. Are you listening? And when I wanted to do this interview, because the SOP is not really a body class, but I'm sure you're going to explain what we're going to do in class. But I had a really interesting experience. So I'm now living in Mexico City. And a week ago, I went to Tulum. And on the way back home, I was at the airport and they canceled my flight. So I had to wait 2 hours. And I was like, okay, I need some food. So I went to the food court. And as I got to the food court, it was the very first time in my life when I realized all those bodies were so unhappy. So you could see people come from Cancun hotels having food for like a week. They could eat everything. It's how do you call them? It's like when everything is included.
Oh, the all-inclusive.
All-inclusive. And all those bodies were like big and not happy. And all these people, they had like 4 restaurants, one like kind of like a Chinese, and one place where they sold burgers, and the other place they sold pizzas. And all those restaurants were just full, like a long line. And we sit down, and I felt like I'm getting bigger. And and we were sitting there for 2 hours. I felt like I gained 2 kilograms, which I actually did. It was insane. We got home and I couldn't fit in my jeans. And that was the very first time that I finally didn't make my body wrong. That I finally asked the questions like, what is this? Like, hey, body, what do you try to show me? And I got all this download from other bodies that they were so unhappy, override, and all this stuff. And that made me think, I'm like, we should talk about this. Like, our bodies, they know what works for them and what they want and what they require. So can you say more about this? Like how, because I guess for most of the people, when they hear for the very first time that your body has its own consciousness, it knows what it wants, it's just a weird idea. But
yeah, well, I mean, it's correct. I mean, it's actually not that weird, because even people who aren't into, let's say, consciousness and or holistic, ways of living and all of that stuff, it's like everyone knows what it's like to, like, let's say, crave a certain food or a drink, and it tastes good here, but then once it gets down here, it's like, oh my God, my body didn't like it. So you're either running to the bathroom, or you're constantly burping, or you have stomach pain. And you said it perfectly before, is like we override our body's awareness all the time. So, and I'm like, I say to my kids, just because it tastes good here, it doesn't mean it's going to be good once it gets to the rest of the body. So, but yeah, our bodies are very aware. They're information resource centers, so to speak. They're constantly giving you information about the world around you. And that includes the choices that people are making with their bodies. And so it's like really important. Like, one of the tools that we first learn when we start taking the access consciousness classes is to learn to live in and as the question. And so with regards to your body, it's like, okay, well, if your body's an information resource center, and if it's always giving you information about the world around you, well, wouldn't it make sense to actually start talking to your body and asking it, okay, body, what would you like to eat? How much would you like to eat? Who would you like to play with? What would you like? How would you like to move through space? What kind of exercise would you like to do? Do you even desire to do exercise? Right? Because a lot of people like exercise their bodies and their bodies hate it. And they end up injuring themselves all the time, And then some people's bodies actually do enjoy exercise, So it's like, it's about really having this creationship with your body through asking questions.
Wow. And so I'm using the tools for basically 7 years. And what I felt most of my life, that the big black hole in my life is my body. So it does not want to do what I want. It doesn't look what I want and all of that. And I'm exercising a lot and I'm doing always some diets and stuff. And so recently I got to the point where I'm having more peace than ever before.
Yeah.
And I always get to the point where I feel like I got what my body wants, but it's actually not true. And then I'm getting it more and more as I'm discovering this. But when people start for the first time talking to their bodies, how can they listen? What are the signs, or how the body tries to talk to them?
Well, it's an exploration. A lot of it's trial and error, but so one of the things we do is we conclude, okay, we have these things called presumptive realities, okay? It's like, okay, well, my family ate these foods. It's part of my culture. It's part of my religion. Therefore, I should eat these foods. Or, these foods came from the tree of life and you should eat it and, blah, blah, blah. And so we have all these points of view that have been passed down from one generation to the next about what we should eat, where we don't actually go into question about what actually works for us. And so, body, what would you like to eat? So it all goes back to constant communication with your body, asking your body what it desires. Body, what are you aware of? Because it may be aware that it needs to eat a certain way for a certain amount of time. It may not be that way forever, but we decide that because it worked for a little while, then that's the way it needs to be forever. Forever, there's no question, right? You're not actually in awareness when you're functioning from forever or, other people's points of view about what you should eat or drink. And even points of view that have been passed down from the health community. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like every 10 years, they change what you're supposed to eat or not supposed to eat. It's like, seriously? And how many people do you see that eat terribly and they still live to their 90s? And you have people who take care of themselves and they drop dead at 60. So if that really was all true, then the people who ate unhealthy would die young and the ones who took care of themselves would live to a ripe old age. And so we know that that's not true. So at the end of the day is what's fun for you, what works for your body. And that's sort of like a self-exploration. Only you can decide through trial and error and actually being in the question. And then you also have to look at the other factors as well, as far as like what's going on in your life, as far as like stress and emotionally. All those things can play a role in terms of how your body digests the food that you eat or the pain in your body. And so like a lot of the things that we learn in the 3-day body class, for example, is to really listen to the information your body's trying to give you. And so, because we sort of like conclude what's going on in our environment instead of really listening to what our body's actually saying. And so for example, pain, all right? Pain is really an intensity, right? And so the question is, okay, well, what's causing the pain? So what if you didn't have a physical accident? Well, then the body should not have any pain, especially like muscle pain. But if we're always in fear, if we're always in anger, or if we're constantly frustrated, or maybe we don't like our jobs or our professions, or maybe we're not happy in the relationship that we're in, but we're afraid to get out of it, all those things are going to impact your body. But what people do is They ignore it. They ignore the information that their body's giving them. Because the body may say, hey, can we get out of this relationship? Or the body may be saying, do we have to go to this job? You know, but we say yes, because it pays really well and we get good health care, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but I hate going there. I don't like being in that environment. I don't like being yelled at or being told I'm wrong. So the body's constantly giving you information. And what 3-day body classes actually create is a greater sense of awareness of what your body is telling you, but more importantly, actually listening. Because once you start to actually perceive like these energies of ease, relaxation, even bliss, and an opening of more consciousness, what starts to actually occur is you start to make these demands in your life for your body and your living that are more congruent with what actually works for you, as opposed to living everybody else's realities. And that's just something that comes through time, playing with these tools, and actually being willing to actually receive as well is huge. So I'm more picky now than I ever have been. The way that I eat is way different than I used to be. My body was always a great source of judgment for myself as well. You know, I remember when I was younger and I would see like these pictures of, you know, men or these statues of men. I'm like, that's the kind of body I want to have, you know? But like, I'm a small man. I'm not a very large man. I'm a small man. I'm like, and so I would exercise and do all these different things. I'm like, how come I don't look like that guy? And I'm like, oh, I'm probably never going to look like that guy. You know, I can just only look good for me, whatever that is. And so I really, really judged my body for a long time. And I would kind of exercise to force my body to look a certain way. And then I finally got to the age where my body's like, can we please stop exercising this way? This is totally unkind. I don't like it anymore. Let's find a different way. And what I found is, you know, Dr. Dane here, the creator of the Symphony of Possibilities and Energetic Synthesis of Being, and the Being You Changing the World, like book that he's written, you know, when you're being you, none of that stuff matters. Like when you're being you, there is no judgment of you because you're actually being you. You're having so much fun being you. You're having so much fun waking up every day, creating your life. You're not going to think about how short you are or how fat you are or how skinny you are or how big your boobs are or how small your boobs are or how big your penis is or small your penis. Like it doesn't matter. Because when you are being you, you are an energy that is attractive. No matter what you look like, you become an attractive energy to everyone around you because you are being you. And when you're being you, it animates everything around you.
Wow. I'm like, so many things came to my mind. I don't even know what to ask. I really like that you turn to that way that our body is not just giving us information about the food that we eat, the exercise we do, but information about anything around us. And so you do, when you come to Budapest, you will have the 3-day body class, which helps to release so much out of the body, but also the SOP with those energies helps you to also not just from the body, but work with the being also. And exactly. My question to you is, I really do love this conversation. My question is, what is my question? It's so amazing how you talk about that. So what I see is, sorry, I'm just trying to put this into words. So what I see is that we all think that our body is wrong and there is something wrong with it. But at the same time, there is so much that's going on under the surface. And what I see with this class is also the 3-day body class that I took, called advanced body classes, is there are no words that we can describe what happens in class, but then something changes. And this is what I just said, like that, my body was always a big black hole that is like, I tried to do anything, but it never worked. But then what I realized at some point is sometimes what I do is just wake up in the morning, I touch my body and I just ask all those energies that would contribute to my body just to run on myself. And what I see is all these signs and everything that's going on, there is so much more to it, always.
Yeah, always.
Energetically. And also what I see is that how much our creations talk to us in the language of energy. And all of that, like your body perceives all these energies. And what I see is I do now, what I try to do is like I give 5 minutes to my body on the morning and in the evening, and I just ask questions. It's like, hey, what's going on? What can I contribute? Or what can we create together? Because what I'm getting into is I need my body and my body needs me. And it's not just one thing. And what I see also with my creations is that my body is a big contribution to everything. And it's just, yeah, I don't know what's my question, but
well, the gift of really all of Access Consciousness, look, at the end of the day, when you're being you, your body goes for the ride. When you're not being you, your body will suffer. And that's why it's like in the beginning, we kind of were talking about food and drink and people putting crap in their bodies. But in the end, to me, what I've found, especially working in the, you know, the health and fitness field as a chiropractor for so many years, and even as a trainer, personal trainer in a gym and all that, it's the people who are happy, the people who are being them, the people who, you know, when they wake up, they're excited to go to their jobs because they're actually creating their lives or utilizing their gifts and their talents every day. When that's happening, your body has the joy of living. When you are suppressing your gifts and talents, when you're not expressing yourself every day and being who you are, when you're living your life through your mother and father's points of view of how you should live your life, or your religion's points of view of how you should live your life, the body actually suffers. Because what you're doing is you're repressing these beautiful energies because of other people's points of view, how you should live your life and be in the world. You can't stop energy. But when we try, it actually impacts our bodies in a very negative way. So my point of view is, be you every day and the body will be happy. And no matter what you look like, you will be so beautiful that people aren't going to notice the imperfections, the physical imperfections, you know? And that's what I found, especially you, because we're our own worst critic. You know, we look in the mirror, we notice the little lines. Oh, there's a new line. Oh, there's gray hair. Oh, I'm a little bit soft in that. You know what I mean? It's like, what is that? Right? But in the end, none of that actually matters. None of that matters. What actually matters is, are you being you? You have gifts and talents and capacities that are within you. Are you using them? Are you being them? To me, that's what matters most. And that has been my greatest joy with someone who's been working with people for years and years and years. But in the last 11 years, Access, because Access to me has the greatest set of tools that exist, because not only do they help you with body stuff, but they actually help you to access your being. Like, what is your reality? What is the life that you truly would like to have? Okay, regardless of what everybody else's points of view are. And that's why I love Access, because it creates that space for people to actually start accessing more of their very being. And then the body just kind of goes for the ride and the journey and has fun.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So many things. As you were talking, just so many people came to my mind who are not perfect, but I always see them beautiful.
Yeah.
And they are happy with themselves. And now if I think about it, yes, those people are being them. They're happy no matter what. They don't really, not like they don't care, but they don't take on other people's point of views. And they just living the life that works for them.
Yeah.
Oh, so when you think when people's bodies are not happy or doesn't look the way whatever, it also can come from those energies or just from not being them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. And when you're not you, what I've also observed over the years is it actually creates dis-ease in people's bodies, lack of ease. And eventually, over long periods of time, that will create disease, you know, and people wonder why they're sick, why their bodies aren't working right. Well, because you've sort of disregarded it, number one, And number two, are you actually living your life the way you desire? Are you utilizing your gifts, talents, and capacities when you wake up every day?
And so if someone now find this conversation really true for them, how can they start to discover what works for them?
What's my reality? Ask a question. What's really my reality with this? Like, what would I like to do? Where would I like to live? Do I want to live in a city? Do I desire to live with the mountains? Or do I want to live in a city where there's mountains? Or do I want to live by the sea? It's like, what kind of friends do I want to surround myself with? Really get clear as to what actually like works for you. How do I, especially with like relationships too, it's like we all say we have these particular types. Well, that's a judgment. I mean, it's a total judgment. It's like when you have a type, you basically eliminate all these other people that can contribute to you and actually contribute to making your life happier by having these people in your life. But it's like when you say I have this type, or this is my religion and every other religion's wrong, or these are my political beliefs and all other political beliefs are wrong, you've just eliminated so many people who could actually contribute to you to having an amazing life. And so to me, it's like, what reality would you like to create? That's how people can start. Like, what's my reality with this? What's my reality with relationship? What's my reality with money? What's my reality if you happen to be a spiritual person with God and how I'd like to worship God, whatever. What's my reality with my body and how I want to be with my body while I still have one, what works for me? What kind of clothes does my body want to wear? It's like keep constantly asking questions to determine what your reality is. But again, those are the tools that you learn and acquire when you take Access Consciousness classes. It's like they learn, you're giving these amazing tools to basically be able to change anything in your life that's not working, whether it's relationships, money stuff, health issues, or just trying to really know who the hell you are. Like, who the hell are you? And how many of you out there are like living your lives based on your family's projections of who you should be in the world?
Oh, I think people love me so much right now that I invited you to this conversation, because everything you just said is amazing. And I really do love that from the point that, oh, your body's talking, what about the food? We got to this point, like how you can be yourself. And you know why I'm really loving this conversation? I have a big membership, and we basically get to the point every week where I'm like, you guys ask the question, what's my reality? And sometimes they are like, give me another question. I'm like, no, you need only this one, because that's how you can discover who you are, what works for you. And it just puts you into the constant state of discovery.
Exactly. And who you are today doesn't have to be who you are tomorrow, and it's like, okay, now I wake up with a new day. Who am I? And what grand and glorious adventures will I have today? I love that question. That's the first thing that I ask. Who am I? Because if I keep going based on who I was yesterday, then I always have to be in judgment with every choice I make today.
Wow. This is amazing. So I would like to ask about a couple things about the classes that you are teaching in Hungary. I heard that you have the 3-day body class, and then the following week you have the SOP class. Yeah. So if people would like to join you, can you tell more about the 3-day body class? What happens in class and
yeah, well, I can't tell you what happens. I could tell you things that have happened. What happens in a 3-day body class, it's up to the, it's really about like the people who come, right? And how all the different energies interact with one another, and the facilitator, of course. But really it's 3 days of gifting and receiving these Access Consciousness body processes. But it's also a way for people to start getting clarity as to maybe the things that have been going on with their bodies that have been undesirable, and also with their beings as well. And, so it's an opportunity for people to ask questions and to learn how to get more awareness with their bodies, and to learn how to ultimately listen to your body and have more ease and joy with your bodies. So that's ultimately what happens. What actually shows up is, you know, some people laugh, some people cry, some people get angry, but usually the people who are angry is just because they're those potencies that they've had within them forever, that's finally starting to come out, but they misidentify it as anger. And it's not angry. They're just angry at themselves for not expressing who they are. Wow. And the potency of who they be. And so they're starting to recognize, like, wow, I've been holding myself back. For what reason? Now it's time to soar. So the body process creates the space for you to start to finally be you. But all the tools do in Access. So it just helps the body to have more ease as you go through this journey of consciousness. And then the opening of the Symphony, which is the following weekend, the first weekend in March, I think the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You know, so that's a 2.5-day class. You know, the Symphony of Possibilities, SOP, was created by Dr. Dane here, who's the co-creator of Access Consciousness. And, you know, this is something that sort of he discovered and came upon these energies like almost 22 years ago. And so, and this is something that I've been working with Dr. Dane and Gary for the last 8 years personally, and actually working on them with these energies. And so, you know, we decided that in order to sort of maybe exponentialize this miracle division of Access Consciousness and this energy work, that it would be a contribution to have this 2.5-day class where we begin to introduce a lot of the new people to this amazing energetic universe, but also even the people who have taken the SOP classes already, perceiving these energies maybe from a different point of view, so that they actually have different energies available to them. And so, you know, I've been, you know, bugging Dane for the last 4 years, like, Dane, you've taught me so much, you know, it's like, I'm ready to go out there and contribute to this SOP universe and help people to feel more confident in when they're doing sessions and things like that. And so yeah, after the 2.5-day class, you get to become a Symphony practitioner, where you'll be able to do private sessions for people and all of that stuff. And yeah, and for those people who have already been doing the SOP class, the 4-day class with Dr. Dane, yeah, it's just newer energies or different energies that are being made available to you for you to be able to access and play with. So.
Wow. I'm coming to class. I will be back to Budapest by then, and I'm really excited because, yeah, this is what you just said. I took a couple SOP classes, but I'm not confident. And I can't tell you how much my life has changed. And there's no words that I can describe what happened. It's not logical. It's not, you can't.
No. Yeah, well, the SOP too, it's another available energetic resource to sort of like cut through all those energetic blocks that if you were able to change those blocks cognitively or through therapy, you would have done it by now, right? So, but for some reason, there's still certain things that are holding you back and you can't quite get to it. These SOP energies have this beautiful way of undoing those places and spaces where you've been stuck your entire life. And it's such a gift. I mean, that's what it's done for me personally. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the thing I couldn't change. No matter how much all this other work I've done, I couldn't ever change it. And now it's like gone. And sometimes it leaves you in this space of like total vulnerability and you feel raw. You're like, oh my God, I'm really uncomfortable though, you know? Then that's okay. That won't last. You know what I mean? But it's like it's like, because we kind of get used to our shit, right? Yeah. And finally, when that shit is gone and you have all this space, it's almost like, oh my God, you know, but it's like, it's okay. And, you know, we'll help walk you through that and know that that's okay. And it's nothing to be afraid of, but it's actually, you finally have accessed that thing you've been asking to access, but you didn't know it was going to show up. You know what I mean? Because you kind of gave up on the fact that it was going to show up. So to me, that's sort of like what SOP has been for me personally. It's just another energetic resource to change the things in your life that aren't working for you and to access more of your being.
Wow. Wow. Can't wait. So we are going to share all the links to your classes here in the comment below, and also we're going to send it out through email to those who are in the Hungarian line. And thank you so much, Anthony, for this conversation.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really like this was one of my favorite conversations. Like everything you just said was
thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. And we can't wait to have you in Budapest.
I look forward to it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye.